Welcome to the King Chapman Show. It is Thursday, June 20th. I am Brent Chapman. And with me is the original Fab One.
What's going on today, V? How you doing this wonderful day?
I am in pain, Jimmy King.
What? What's going on, man? You want to take your meds? What's happening?
I know all you tough basketball players are getting banged in the pain, and I just break my toe. That's serious. That's a significant injury for a guy that all he does his whole life is sit at the computer. That's it. It's a pretty significant thing.
It's a tough one for athletes too. I told you, stubbing your toe on a desk or on a bed is the worst. You get elbows, you get scratches, you get, we get all types of cuts, bruises, stitches, and all those things. But a good hard toe jam in the middle of the night or breaking your toe while you're having fun with your family hurts just as bad.
So now, Jimmy, I got to tell you, I was right before I got on the show here tonight. My family were sitting around the couch and my son was flipping through the channels and he stopped on something and he pulled it up and there was Jimmy King on television. ESPNU was playing Fab Five, the documentary. And my youngest loves to watch Jimmy King dunk.
Well,
and I always say, hey, I can dunk like that too.
We got the video to prove it, that's for sure. But shout out to young chap for checking us out on the documentary 30 for 30 ESPN Fab Five.
How long ago did you do that, Jimmy?
That was 2011. So 13 years ago, which seems crazy because it sounds like it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but I think it was 2011. Or was it 2013?
Yeah, so some of the footage they pulled, though, looked like interviews of some of the footage they pulled looked like interviews of you, though, from when you were at Michigan, like when you were in college, because you look pretty young in a lot of those interviews that they had.
Oh yeah. Those a lot of those, or some of those, were from the college days back on campus and old interviews that we did after or between games or before games. So it was just footage that we, got from the old Viacom or cable or CBS or any outlet that was that we could use.
So it was a combo of stuff from
2011. Thank you, Nate, dog.
Thank you, Nate. I don't know if you can hear Nate, but he just told us it was 2011. So that's good. So what they did is, Jimmy, they took interviews and stuff from you back at the time when you guys were the Fab Five, and then obviously in 2011-ish, they did some, interviews of current you guys talking about it. That's awesome. Well, so I will say, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's on ESPNU right now, but
Absolutely.
Don't turn away from the King and Chapman Show. You can watch it later. It's always streaming on ESPN, I'm sure. But Jimmy, we've got some news. And by the way, in the documentary, I did in fact see Jimmy hugging his boy, Rob Pelinka, who is in the news today. See, it all ties together. Rob, who is now 30 years later, the general manager of the president of the Los Angeles Lakers, has signed a new coach to a 4-year deal. JJ Redick, a 15-year NBA veteran who served as an ESPN analyst this season and co-hosts a podcast, was among the names immediately linked to the opening and will take over for the removed Darvin Ham. Jimmy, is JJ the right choice for the Lakers?
He's the right choice because that's who they chose.
Oh, come on, Jimmy. That is a lame answer. Lame. Come on, give us a take. You can't. I know you want to hate on your boy.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Let me tell you why that's their guy. It's because obviously they wouldn't pull the trigger unless they believed that he could galvanize the locker room, including LeBron and AD and the rest of the guys who they want to bring in for free agency or any changes and moves that they want to make. That's why he's their choice. I believe that, you know, what had to transpire for them to get to this point had to transpire, even going to the college ranks, looking at Danny Hurley to bring him on, you know, to get to this point, because JJ Redick's name was mentioned prior to all of those guys. So I just think it comes back full circle where I guess the LA fans and lore are more comfortable with this, you know, with hiring JJ now versus a month and a half ago, because I haven't heard any pushback and all I've been seeing is how other analysts and his colleagues are talking about his basketball mind and what he's going to bring to that organization. But I will say this, it's his first time coaching, and playing and coaching is two different things. You look at Jason Kidd, when he first started, he was good enough to get teams to the finals when he was with the Nets and Milwaukee. But, you know, you got to take your bumps. You got to take your lumps along this trail. And I don't expect any difference from JJ Redick.
Jimmy, you are a really, really nice guy. So I'm going to be the sanity in the words that you say. Okay. No, he isn't the right choice for the Lakers. And no, you even said he's not the guy they wanted. They gave another guy a $70 million contract offer. He isn't the, that's like, you know, you proposing to a girl that you dated and then turning around like a week later and telling another girl, no, you're the girl of my dreams. You're the girl I really want to marry. Never mind this girl over here that I gave a 5-carat diamond ring to. Never mind her, JJ. We love you. You're our guy.
The conditions of the heart. We can't describe them. We can't contain them. And especially in the sporting worlds, we fall in love in the moment. And JJ is the guy right now. And also going back to the relationship or the kind of relationship that we are looking at, or seems to be a relationship between LeBron and JJ, and them doing a podcast and working together. So clearly, you know, the organization want to make LeBron and make him happy, and in effect, that makes everyone else happy. Now, will he be there 3 years from now? We'll see.
Now, Jimmy, this is a sign of things to come. You should go back and play, and I'll coach. That way the podcast team can be together. I like this.
If you want me to play, listen, if you want me to play right now, I will be like,
hold on. I'm calling Q.
Al Horford. Have you seen Al Horford run up and down the court?
Horford. I'm calling Ice Q, baby. I'm dialing up right now. Ice,
I'm getting back in shape. Let's go.
Jimmy,
you know
accepts.
Get these guns right.
Yeah. You're on the power with Nancy Lieberman, with Coach Lieberman. Let's go.
That's my girl right there. That's my girl right there. She advocated for me. And here's something. And Nancy, since you mentioned her, Nancy Lieberman, I love her. I love you, Nancy.
I love Nancy also.
She gave me one of the greatest compliments I could ever have as a basketball player. She said when I was in high school, I was good enough to go pro straight out of high school after my senior year. And I should have listened to you.
No, come on.
B, you don't know how good I was.
No, I know. I don't know how good you are.
I sacrificed a lot for a lot of people. You know
I
what I'm saying?
I didn't know how good you were, Jimmy, but I know this. I know I wouldn't be seeing you on this documentary going on right now if you had gone straight to the pros. That's what I know.
Maybe. I could have made a cameo visit. You know, they could have slid me in somehow in the background as a what if, like I signed, but then I defected to the league. I could have been an honorary member.
An honorary Fab Five. It would have been the Fab Four. Wouldn't have been the Fab Five.
The Fab Four.
All right, Jimmy. Now we're going to talk about dear to both of our hearts.
Let's go,
the
Pistons.
Detroit Pistons. So the Detroit Pistons on Wednesday fired Monty Williams after one season and got to absorb 65 million smackaroos of his contract. Now, here's the thing, Jimmy. Let me give you the backstory on this. The Pistons went out and said, we're not very good. This was last year. And they said, hey, we got to go find the best coach. Mm-hmm. So they went out and they got, NBA championship, Monty Williams, historic 6 years, $78 million contract, and said, go out and rebuild our team. And then they fired him. they lost. They had the worst. They tied the longest losing streak in NBA history with 28 games and finished 14-68, the worst in the league. And so they fired him. So, Jimmy, were the Pistons premature to fire Monty Williams?
Oh, I don't know. This is tough. This is tough because I would say no, they're not. I didn't see anything that would give me confidence of anything changing. I think the time spent with Trajan being in the fold for the past month and the conversations that they've been having obviously didn't give them confidence of moving forward. So, I think it's tough, even though we've seen teams, have the same kind of teams and coaching staffs that turned it around. When you have 28 games losing in a row, and the way that they were losing, it's hard to bring guys back and try to, create a culture around such a bad start and an exorbitant contract. They overpaid in a lot of people's eyes to get him there. It was just a bad deal all the way around, and they still sucking $65 million down the drain. So I think they're smart enough that they're cutting bait early instead of dragging this out. But who they bring in now is the big question.
Jimmy, I love you, but you are 0 for 2 tonight. Yes, of course they were premature to fire Monty Williams. You don't go hire Bill Belichick, give him the crappiest team in the league, and then fire him a year later because
he's not Bill Belichick.
Come on. Monty Williams, you said you don't think he deserved.
Okay, well think about this. Think about this, B.
Yeah, go ahead.
Think about this, B. He got fired the year before.
Yeah.
The Suns fired him. And then the Pistons overpaid. And now they fired him. So that's why it really looks bad. Now, if they paid a market price contract, it wouldn't look as bad. And now they're paying $65 million. They got to go out and get another coach. That's why it looks so bad. But they're doing the right thing. And the smart thing about it is, which most teams don't do, they keep them on because of that contract. They're like, you know what? We made a mistake. We're cutting bait. We're about to bring in a whole new team, whole new culture.
Jimmy, 2 years ago, he led his team to the NBA Finals.
And they fired him.
He earned a shot to rebuild the Pistons based on his track record. You paid a massive haul to one of the best coaches, most established coaches in the league that was available. You got to give him more than 1 year. It isn't like he had a good roster and he dismantled it. He had a garbage pile that he
like
had
I
to
said,
fix.
they didn't have the confidence, or he didn't at least show them the confidence that they needed to feel in order to go forward.
You know why
Whatever
teams
he
are
was doing, whatever the philosophy is, whatever direction they were going in, clearly wasn't working, or they didn't have any faith or confidence in it, and they cut bait. A lot
Jimmy,
of times teams fall for that, and they do get better over time, over years, but they don't really push through that, that proverbial ceiling. Like, for instance, the 76ers, trust the process, trust the process. Well, we've been trusting the process. How long has the process been? About 10 years. It's been a 10-year process.
yeah, because you got the wrong people making the decision. See, this is the point, Jimmy. It's not. It doesn't matter. They're wrong.
The
Like,
new
look,
guy,
the reason why
Trajan
the Pistons suck.
Langdon, my
The
old
reason,
teammate from USA Basketball, is making the decisions. Way to come in
look,
and make the tough decisions, Trey.
look. The reason why the Pistons are not good is because they continually make bad decisions. Now, I don't know who the guy at the Pistons making the decisions today is, or how long he's been there.
He's
Right.
been there for a month. They got Trajan in the game now.
All right.
Trajan
Well, there you
Langdon.
go. So what he's doing is, so you're saying the new GM has been there a month. So he's saying, all right, screw it. I'm going to clean the deck and I'm going to start from scratch because I'm not going to keep Monty. Now that's a different story.
Yeah, they can blame it on him too.
Yeah, well, if you got a new GM and he wants a fresh start and he wants to start and not have to inherit nonsense, then that's what he's doing. So, Jimmy, let's move along to. By the way, if you haven't noticed by looking at the side of the screen there, it is an all NBA day. We got a lot of NBA to talk about right off the finals. So we got a big trade, Jimmy. We've got the Bulls are trading two-time all defensive team guard Alex Caruso to the Oklahoma City Thunder for guard Josh Giddey. Don't laugh. That's a bad dad joke. Giddey. The trade delivers the Thunder, the league's one of the league's top role players, a very, very strong defensive player, 30-year-old. The 30-year-old guard Alex Caruso. In exchange, the Bulls get Josh Giddey, who is the number 6 overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Giddey in the last season played a career high 80 games, and his scoring average was about 16 and a half points. So they've got a young scorer coming to them. So, Jimmy, who got the better end of the deal? Caruso, Giddey, Thunder, Bulls? What do you got?
Whoa, this is a tough one because I think it's kind of even. It's kind of a wash. I think they both got what they needed. I think the OKC boned up their defense and doesn't have to defer for Caruso as much offensively because of all the budding other stars. They want Chet to expand his game. I don't see, he's the rookie runner up. I see him, really expanding his game significantly. And then you got Gilgeous Alexander, really kind of driving the engine for that team. And I think Alex Caruso has played with superstars enough to really be comfortable in the role that he's not demanding. He's not a ball dominant, but they can rely on him to impact the game on the off or defensive end, which is, the other side of the ball, which is just as valuable. That's 50% of the game, which people really don't talk about enough and really value enough, in my opinion. So I think that's why he's looked upon to be a significant, part to this trade. Conversely, Giddey, young budding star, can clearly score 16 and a half points a game, but probably being hampered from all of the other stars around him. And so his value as a engine that can push the Bulls or help the Bulls offensively or create for all the other stars that the Bulls have is kind of a even trade for what the needs are for each team.
Jimmy, that is a those are some great points, and I look at this as who got the best of a trade. Well, they're both. Sometimes there's no winner in a trade, right? Sometimes both teams win. That's
Mhm.
actually a best trade.
That's how it
The best
should
trade
be.
you
Like
can make.
in the
It's how it should
essence of
be.
a trade is one team, trading to get an asset and the other team trading to get an asset or give up an asset to get an asset, depending on how they're viewing it. But the idea is that the team gets what they need and what's efficient, like they're lacking efficiently.
I agree. We could talk for an hour about negotiation tactics, but the best negotiations are the ones where I get what I need and I'm happy, and you get what you need and you're happy. A lot of times people just want to win or they want to make sure you lose,
Hmm.
right? So they fight and they negotiate and it gets dirty and it gets ugly. And
Hmm.
I just got to get a little
Or
bit
it's
more.
just bad relationship. They're just trying
I
to
gotta
dump a
beat
player.
you. I gotta know I got the most I can get, right?
Yeah.
I hate negotiating with people like that, by the way. So here's what I think, and then we can move on. So both teams won the trade. Uh, the Thunder have a lot of young scoring weapons,
Hmm.
and Josh Giddey will not be missed. They will figure out a way to replace that. They have got coming out of the walls, right? So what they needed though was somebody to step in and provide some defensive maturity to their roster and the way they play. And that's what they got in some veteran leadership in Alex Caruso. So, win for the Thunder. On the side of the Bulls, I mean, look, the Bulls needed offense, right?
Hmm.
They needed scoring, and they got another
Playmakers.
guy. They got another guy who can put up 15 to 20 points a game, and that's what they needed. So I think the Bulls are going to hurt a little bit losing that defense, but I think both teams improved with this trade, and I think it's a win-win for both. So moving along to somebody who we'll see if it's a win-win forever gets them is Paul George. Paul
PG
George
13.
PG-13 has been one of the best players in the league, Jimmy, and now he is set to be an NBA free agent. He has a player option for this coming year and could decline that option and seek out a long-term max contract. Now, before everyone gets real excited, please remember he is 34 years old, and I don't think he looked too great in that series against the Mavs. So, Jimmy, so the question is there's a lot of rumors floating around, right? The Knicks, the Magic, the Clippers, the Rockets. There was even a very strong feeling that he would go to the 76ers. But Shams Charania of The Athletic says that the 76ers' interest in pursuing Paul George has waned in recent days and is expected to be aggressive elsewhere with salary cap flexibility, and they're pulling themselves out of the Paul George sweepstakes. So, Jimmy, where do you got Paul George playing basketball in 24-25?
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one because I could see him in a lot of places. I could see him in New York. I could see him in Orlando, but I just the fit with Orlando something is something about the youth of the team. I just don't think that even though he's a veteran and he will be great for the team. I just think their style of play to me won't fit. It just won't. It will fit, but I don't think it will be the best for a long sustained run in the playoffs. Um, and then I have a team that's in the peripheral that, because of Middleton's from what I've heard, request of wanting to, possibly get out of Milwaukee. I think that would be a great fit for him. Uh,
Interesting. Yep.
PG, if that does transpire, for him to end up there, and
Jimmy,
or
Jimmy,
probably
Jimmy,
the
I want to
Knicks.
I want to interrupt you real quick and ask you, because this is where I'm struggling with this. How much do you think he has left in the tank?
And here's the deal, and this is where I was going, because if those teams, I think, are very, they're two different teams, right? So the Knicks are on the uptick. They're ascending in the ranks of the NBA, and they got a good mix of kind of young and some older talent, and I think he would fit well in there. The expectations, I think he can handle for being in New York. The same with Milwaukee, championship team. Giannis being their leader will demand a lot out of him. I think PG, that's what he needs as far as to keep him accountable. So it's hard. It's really going to be interesting to see what where he ends up. And I also think,
Max contract player right now? Do you give the max to Paul George?
well, and so he hasn't proven to be a max player in the playoffs. When it comes to the playoffs and in his performances, we've seen him kind of show a little better turnout than he has in the past year. Uh, but this past series, like last year, but this year was kind of, I won't say pedestrian, but he didn't elevate his team, even though I know they had injuries. Um, and I wouldn't rule out him signing back with the Clippers. Like, I see him really being comfortable, really trying to look to give them a shot. Uh, if they're healthy, then I think that his best shot is either staying with the Clippers, going to New York, or Milwaukee. And is he a max player at this point? I don't know. He hasn't, in my opinion, no, he hasn't proven that he can win you playoff games. He showed you he'll give you a great regular season, and he may give you flashes in the playoffs, but to get you over that hump, we haven't seen that yet.
Great insight, Jimmy, and that is, so it sounds like you think he's at the back end of his career, is what it kind of sounds like
Father
a little
time
bit.
wins, always wins.
Yep.
34 years old, you're on the tail end. I mean,
Yeah.
mentally, we're better because we could think of, we know what we want to do. We could make decisions faster on the fly, in the heat of the moment. He just, it's just certain things. Look at LeBron. Like, LeBron is still playing at a high level, but it's we can see the decline, and that's not because he doesn't take care of himself. He's notoriously known for doing the right things, eating the right things, and for the longevity of his body, but in career. But eventually, it's Father Time is gonna win.
So I am going to weigh in here, Jimmy, and say that um, I think where he lands is really a factor of if he wants to go to a contender like the Knicks or the Bucks or somebody that has a strong team, he cannot suck up all their salary cap with a max contract. If he wants to go get a max contract, he's going to have to go to a team who's probably not as good and is kind of on the verge of contending. And I just don't think, I just don't know. This is one of those situations where he probably stays with the Clippers because they're in the mix and they'll probably pay him a little bit more. They're going to pay him more than a normal contender would. So I'm actually going to land and say he probably stays with the Clippers. I'd like to see him go to the Knicks. I think that would be interesting with Brunson and those guys, but we'll see how it turns out. Moving along to another interesting situation in free agency here. It looks like there's a guy that was supposed to be available in free agency, but is re-signed with his team, and that is Pascal Siakam, the all-star forward, signed a 4-year, $189.5 million contract to stay with
that money.
Love that money.
Yeah.
Siakam got there, Jimmy, through a blockbuster deal with the Raptors in January, shipped him over to Indianapolis, and he helped the Pacers get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And we talked about this. What did they need to do? Was it a fluke? Could they get back? And one of the things that you said was they needed to sign Siakam and keep him on board. And that's what they did. So I'm going to ask you the question, but I probably already know the answer. Smart move to re-sign Pascal, Jimmy?
Absolutely, yes. And that's what I would say. Like when you're evaluating your team and you're looking at the critical pieces that you need or that have helped you get to where you at. And with the short litmus test that he has just from being there, from January, he has astronomically helped this team to levels that obviously they feel is valuable. And that's why you pay guys like that. He's great. He's selfless. He's great with the media. He has a great personality. And clearly his teammates, feed off him. And he's electric in his style of play. And the games that he played for the Pacers in his short career so far have been historically some of the best for the franchise. So they pulled out the check and paid the man. And like I said, that's how it's supposed to go. If he's doing the job, pay the man.
If you think that what you did got you to the NBA Finals was not Eastern Conference Finals was not a fluke, and it is something you can build on, then one of those pieces was Pascal Siakam, and it was a smart move to re-sign him. So I'll agree with you on that. Jimmy, we're going to conclude tonight's show with a somber topic, but a good one because we're going to celebrate the life of Jerry West.
The logo.
Jerry West, as you are shouting out, is the logo of the NBA. There he is. You can see it up there in the top left corner. That Great is man. Based on him. He is the logo of the NBA. His family said in his statement that there will be no public memorial for the Hall of Fame player as per his wishes. He had been working as a consultant with the Clippers most recently, and he died on June 12th at the age of 86 years old. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jerry West. He was born in West Virginia, went to West Virginia University from 57 to 60, was the second overall pick in the draft by the Minneapolis Lakers. Catch that, Jimmy. Minneapolis
Lakers.
The team relocated to Los Angeles, and he became a 14-time All-Star and won the 1972 NBA championship with the Lakers. He also was selected to the Basketball Hall of Fame 3 different times as a player and an executive. So not only did he win a championship as a player, he then went on, and if you've watched the show on HBO Max about the Showtime Lakers, you'll see him in there. He builds the Showtime Lakers championship teams of the 80s, and then he goes on and he leads, and he's been all over. He's been in the executive office, and he's just had a overall great career. Now, Jimmy, I'm not going to ask the question I asked for Bill Walton, which is, was he a better player or a better broadcaster? That's not what I'm going to ask, although I could have. I'm just going to ask the question. Taking everything into account, is Jerry West one of the greatest contributors to the NBA ever?
Ooh, ever? I don't know, but I would say he is one of the best. This is like the GOAT debate. The GOAT is debatable to say who has contributed the most or not. But I will say one thing about him. He is definitely a basketball brilliant mind, a basketball savant. I had the pleasure of meeting him many times and speaking with him, and the conversations that he has, is you realize that you're talking to a guy that has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to basketball, and his mental Rolodex that he could pull down, an encyclopedia kind of mind is incredible. He, can really differentiate between players and errors and styles, and it makes you appreciate all of them at once. So he kind of reminds me of like Bo Schembechler at the University of Michigan. He was the same type of mind where he could tell you things about yourself that you forgot about. And guys like that are just a dime a dozen. I mean, not a dime a dozen. They're like one in a billion. That when you grace them, it's just something that you never forget.
I am going to say I'm going to give sort of a cop out answer like Jimmy just gave. Right?
You always call my answers cop outs. Those are real answers.
Look.
How is that a cop out?
You said, well, I'm not going to say he's the greatest, but he's one of the greatest.
You can't because you can't see. How can you call one person in an industry full of people the greatest? Like for instance,
you can do
is Michael Jordan the greatest basketball player ever?
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, I can also say Wilt Chamberlain is the greatest basketball player to ever live.
I agree. I could say Shaq.
But that's my point. That's my point.
Player to live. You know who
you have other executives. You have other people. You have other coaches, players.
I won't say LeBron James is the greatest basketball player. That I will not say.
I agree. LeBron James is top 18 at best.
Yeah, listen to me, Jimmy. Here, all right. Jerry West is, and I'm gonna use your words here, is one of the greatest contributors. I'm gonna explain why, but could be the greatest, and that's why I posed the question. Why I think he could be the greatest, if I had to make the argument, is he was a great player who won a championship. Okay, that's number one. Number two, as an executive, he built dynasties when there wasn't free agency and there wasn't all this other stuff. And he did it over and over and over again. And if you think it's easy, ask Michael Jordan how easy it is to be a great player and then build a team. He sucks at that. The guy couldn't build a fantasy team on NBA 2K24. All right. With a limited salary cap. All right. So you've got this. So this is important, right? So you have to consider all of that. And then he was involved in the league and he's on the logo. And what he did is just so special and kind of so above. It doesn't mean Jimmy's right that he's the greatest, but he's certainly one of the greatest in contributions. So absolutely. He will definitely be missed. And I will tell you that if you haven't watched the show that I referenced, I think it's the Lakers show. Jason Clark plays Jerry West, and he is fantastic in that role. I don't know if that's really what Jerry West is like, but he plays a great character in that show.
It is. It is
so
a great show.
Jimmy, that is it for today's show. We are moving on to the last word, and I will go first and say the following, and then I'll let you finish with the last word. What I would like to say is the only reason I think that hiring JJ Redick as the head coach of the Lakers is a good idea is because he's the one coach right now that could do a callback to the mid-'80s and rip off those pants in the middle of the game with some shorts and put a jersey on and go out there and stroke some threes in the third and fourth quarter to help put his team ahead. That's the only value that I see JJ Redick having at this point, is that maybe he could suit him up and lace him up and go play. Other than that, they should have got Dan Hurley.
So he's going to be like the great Bill who played and coached for the Celtics.
Correct. Didn't Magic?
He'll be the first for the Lakers, huh?
Didn't Magic player coach in 85 or 86?
It was some, yeah, it was like, yeah, I think it was in the 90s.
Like a half season or something.
Yeah. It was like a half a season, something crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun to watch, that's for sure. To watch how this transpires and plays out. But my last word is to the Pistons. The Detroit Pistons.
Detroit, what?
Yes. Congratulations to Trajan Langdon, my former teammate for USA Basketball, for getting that job and making the tough decision of cutting bait with such a high salary and a well-respected coach who just came off the conference finals with the Suns. Those are tough decisions, but we got your back, Trajan. We support you. And anytime you want to get some basketball operation looks, call Brent Chapman and Jimmy King. We got your back.
That's right. We will give you all the answers that you need, and we guarantee. What is the famous quote from Ron Burgundy? It works 60% of the time. It works every time. There you go. That's it. Everybody, thank you so, Jimmy. You were awesome tonight, laying out some insights.
Thank you, my brother.
For everyone
you
at
as
home.
well. Appreciate you as
always.
always.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Shout out to Nate Dogg.
Nate, peace.
Peace.